The Great Plague of London, when death came to every street. London, 1665. The city was crowded, dirty, and filled with narrow streets. Then, something terrifying began to spread. A deadly disease was moving from house to house. It became known as the Great Plague of London. The plague was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis and was commonly spread through infected fleas associated with rodents. At first, the outbreak seemed limited. But during the spring and summer of 1665, the number of deaths began rising rapidly. London had no modern understanding of bacteria or antibiotics. People didn't know exactly how the disease spread, and fear quickly took over the city. When a household was suspected of having plague, authorities could close the house and restrict the movement of its occupants. In some areas, people were afraid even to visit their neighbors. As summer arrived, the situation became worse. The narrow streets and crowded living conditions made controlling the outbreak extremely difficult. Many wealthy families left London for the countryside. But thousands of ordinary people had nowhere else to go. Churches, markets, and streets became quieter as the epidemic grew. Officials began keeping records of deaths, known as the Bills of Mortality. These records helped people understand how rapidly the outbreak was spreading. The summer of 1665 was the deadliest period. Thousands of Londoners died every week. Yet the epidemic eventually began to decline. By late 1665 and into 1666, the number of plague deaths dropped dramatically. Historians still debate the exact combination of factors that brought the epidemic under control. Changes in weather, population movement, quarantine measures, and the depletion of susceptible people may all have played roles. The Great Plague killed an estimated 100,000 people in London, roughly a quarter of the city's population. But London survived. And only months later, another disaster would strike the city, the Great Fire of London in 1666. The Great Plague remains one of the darkest chapters in London's history. It reminds us how vulnerable crowded cities once were to infectious disease and how dramatically public health and medical knowledge have changed since then. The streets eventually became quiet again. But London would never forget the year when plague came to its doors. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this history story, like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the past.